Welcome to post game from the Dam and the best college town in the Pac-12. I'm Mazvita Maraire and Brandon Brown. So the Huskies fall to the Beavers.
Yep.
And we've got our stats in front of me. But you know what? So what was, in terms of what we should give them the score?
27-24.
So what happened?
It was a strange game, which we'll get into, but it came down to the fourth quarter, as most games do. UW had a lead of 7 with 10 minutes to go, 10 minutes and some change, but Oregon State scored 10 unanswered to put this one away, and that was the difference, and we'll talk about that final drive as well. But it was some decisions there in that final drive for UW set up Oregon State to get the game-winning field goal.
Sounds like you're talking about the final drive right now. So the first thing we're going to talk about is going to be rushing. Oregon State came in top in the Pac-12
Yep.
and number 17th nationally.
Yep.
They finished the game with 263 yards rushing,
Yep.
163 in the second half. UW had they finished 195 yards.
Yeah.
And then they had 82 at half. So why was UW unable to stop the Beavers?
Well, no one's been able to stop the Beavers on the ground, and it was because they had multiple backs, as UW did to Oregon State as well. But BJ really got going. BJ Baylor ran so strong, and he was hard to take down. And I think you could credit an offensive line for how good a running back was, but BJ Baylor so many times was getting into the second level of UW's defense, and they weren't wrapping up well. He was bouncing off defenders, and his strong running, despite what they said in the postgame, many players said, they didn't wear us down, but BJ really seemed to get stronger as the game went on, and they couldn't wrap him up.
Poor tackling. The Husky defensive line didn't get into the Oregon State Beavers.
Yeah.
They didn't even get even with the offensive line to at least create a wall. Now, Afolashi said that in the post game that they really have to work on their run fits. Let's be real.
Yeah.
So I think that they were out-sheeped in terms of how to stop the run. You think it's because they didn't tackle well?
Out-schemed, but then you also have to tackle well. I think the tackling well is what you get, as I said, to that second level of defense, because that's not a problem if you're running into the defensive line. But when you're into the linebackers and the DBs, you got to wrap up a running back that's, at that point, he has the full steam, where you penetrate at the line of scrimmage, then he doesn't have that, his engine revved up. And I think that's where the thing is. So I think both can be true in this sense.
Hey, they could have tackled better, but in terms of decision making, the UW went for it on 4th and 1. Would you have done that?
we had a conversation of what we would have done in many situations driving up here, and that's a tough one.
I remember that.
Yeah,
but
Coach Lake said anytime he has 4th and 1 in that situation, which was right at midfield, he's going to trust Morris to get that yard behind the offensive line. I think situational football, when you're tied, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was about 2 and change was left on in regulation in the fourth quarter. If you punt that one away, you pin Oregon State back. And I feel like that was a decision more on you're confident in your offense pushing it forward and not as confident as your defense as slowing down the running game. And I think Lake was kind of had his hand behind his back. He felt like if he gave the ball back to Oregon State, the end result would have been exactly what it was. So he was trying to be safe and drain the clock himself and kind of do what the Beavers did to him.
Okay, so it was 4th and 1,
Yep.
and they went for the quarterback sneak, which I did not understand because Sean McGrew, they actually installed this one thing in terms of they had the 3 backs, which is a new wrinkle that they put in.
Kind of like a diamond, yeah.
I was actually a T.
Yeah,
they went across.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they went with that call to begin with. I think going for it on 4th down, I'm okay with that. Were you okay with that?
I was okay with the call based, as I said, I think Lake felt he had to do it based on how Oregon State was rolling. But I probably would have gone for the same play.
And the ball was at the Washington 46-yard line.
Yep.
So that's the thing. So they go in, Lake, they try the quarterback sneak. It doesn't work. And then Oregon State takes over. And then
earlier in the half, too, in the third quarter, they did go for it on 4th and 1 and converted.
Okay.
So, you feel confident, and as Lake said, he feels confident with Morris behind the line. So, again, if he got stopped in the third quarter, he wouldn't have gone for it in the fourth.
He said, I think the going for it was not my issue. I think the play call that he had.
Oh, instead of going for the sneak, you would rather give it to McGrew.
Going back to what he just implemented,
yeah, okay.
the new wrinkle that he had is what I think I would have done. But you know what? I'm not the coach.
That's
but
true.
I'm not 2-3 either. But so then Oregon State takes the ball over and they end up scoring 9 plays, 40 yards. They chew up 3 minutes of 18 seconds of clock. My question is all this other stuff that started happening in terms of they were trying to let Oregon State score, and I mean, what is going on in college football?
Well, it's a strategy that doesn't pay off a lot, and it's when the clock is going down. Washington at that time had burned all 3 of their timeouts that they had left, and Oregon State was about 15 yards out from scoring themselves. So the thing is, let them score, give yourself a little bit of time to score yourself, because at this point they're in a chip shot of a field goal and winning the game. So discussion going on is, do you let them get an easy touchdown, let them run right up the middle, let the C's part, let them score, and give Morris and the offensive ball back? But it's kind of, you're just in no man land.
Here's the point, the most critical point I think you all need to understand is, and Jimmy said that's what everybody talks about. The other play, the other flip of that script, the coin, if you will, is that Oregon State was not trying to score.
Yep.
And that's what people now have to understand, is because the other team is also not trying to score, and he played that eloquently.
Yep. And you and I were talking over there and having a conversation on the opposite sideline, and I said, do you keep doing this? Do you take the knee, which is what they were doing. They kind of setting up their kicker. They were getting to the right hash mark that they wanted, and the quarterback was just taking a knee, and that allowed for Washington to burn their timeouts, and it also didn't force a fumble, and you didn't score quickly, which allowed for you to blood the clock out, and you called that perfectly.
Yeah, that's the strategy that you use over there. Okay, so I think now I'm going to go back to my, the classic one. Is the sky falling for University of Washington?
For the first time, I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Coach Lake said in the post game that he thinks the Pac-12 this is what it's going to be. It's going to be every week of upsets. Oregon lost to Stanford. You said UCLA, I believe, lost to Arizona State. I believe Washington beat Cal, the same Cal team that, they beat them pretty handily, the same team that Washington had to take to overtime. And yeah, that's true. And he said every team has talent, and if it's going to come down to coaching. But I mean, you got the bye, which is at a perfect timing. Coach Lake said every bye is a perfect time. But then you got game after game, or it's going to be tough. We have, I believe, Stanford next, and then Oregon, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you play UCLA.
UCLA would not easy. Then Stanford, and then I believe Oregon.
Here's the Pac-12 standings, to your point. So right now, Oregon State is on top. They're 2-0 in conference play, 4-1 overall. Stanford now, with their win over Oregon, is now 2-1, 3-2 overall. Oregon is 1-1. Washington is now 1-1 in conference play, and then you've got Wazoo at 1-2 and Cal at 0-2. So Cal's not looking; they haven't won. So that win over Cal might not have been a big win.
I don't think anybody thought it was a big win. I think it was just a win that was needed.
Well, okay, all right, but remember, they played it like it was a big win. Okay.
Every win in the Pac-12 is a win. Yeah, but I think the opponent, that's not the quality of win, especially taking it to overtime, was what they wanted.
I'm saying I think there's a separation in the Pac-12. I think that the University of Washington is not. I mean, they're underperforming, and part of that is a lot of the coaching. And we're going to go see. But to your point, I think it's UCLA, Stanford.
I think Oregon's not done either.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a loss. They did go on the road and beat Ohio State. They're still a great team.
So we're going to have to wait and see in terms of what happens here. But I do think that the UW gets 2 weeks, and they better make some changes. I think the whole gimmick of the whole Wildcat stuff, I think that's played out. That's my whole point, but I don't know about you. Any passing words?
I don't think the Wildcats played out. I thought it was before this game, but then Sean McGrew scored 2 touchdowns off of it within 2 minutes of each other, because they got the fumble. They scored the touchdown, got the fumble, recovered it, and then McGrew scored on the Wildcat again. So I think it's still going to be a package. You're going to see a lot. But quick parting words, I think it might come down, talking about the Pac-12, between Oregon State and Oregon to see who represents the North. I mean, it's just building up to both the Oregon teams having a civil war. That's,
they don't call it that anymore, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So they don't call it that anymore. But I do think the Oregon State game is going to be huge. There's a lot of games to be played, and that's what I think we'll see. So there it is, post game from the best college town in the Pac-12. and also from the Dam, because we want to add that in there, because we're doing this Barnstorm tour, and Sunday we'll be doing post game from the pitch.
Yeah,
Because of the Sounders game.
back
So,
at Lumen.
all right, so well done, Brandon. Yeah, I think a lot of good points there. I'm Brandon Brown. I'm Mazvita Maraire. This is CascadiaSports.net. Thanks for watching.